welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UKOCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 24th most popular podcast for people who think that Yorkshire tea is a wrapper from the north of England.
Ian, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half again. How are you?
I'm apparently really well. I avoided the chicken.
Whoa. The chicken? What chicken?
The undercooked chicken that you tried to serve me.
Yes, I have a bone to pick with you about this. Yeah, let's go straight into it right here, right now. So you sent a personal invite to anyone who knew my address. How I want to know, did B and Michelle get my address? Because they rocked up and they didn't even get the time right. It was supposed to be 2:00. They were there at 1:30. B, Michelle, great to see you. But, Ian, this is your fault they rocked up.
Yeah, because your current address is nowhere, as far as I'm aware.
No, it's not. It's not on anything. I have purposely kept my current address off. But no, actually, I do know what happened. Paula invited them to surprise me, but because she'd heard on the podcast that you'd had an open invite, so she invited them along to pretending they got an open invite. But it was great to see them. B and Michelle Carney dropping in and having a few beers with us, which actually brings me in. Michelle brought me a beer. And she insisted that I had to drink it tonight.
She did indeed. She brought you 2 beers, but she picked one for tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm going to drink the other one next week, but I brought it, Michelle. It's a mocha. I'll go first this week. I normally ask you, don't I? But I'm going to go first. It's a mocha coffee chocolate beer. It says brewed with Arabica coffee and Belgian chocolate. Now, it could get messy tonight because this is 6% proof, brewed by Bateman's. This is my first taste of this live on air. It tastes smells of chocolate. It smells of chocolate. That's not bad. Oh, that's like a Bourneville chocolate. Like a Bourneville chocolate bar.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if it's got caffeine, because you said it was a mocha, so it's a coffee chocolate beer.
Let's have a quick look. Mocha is brewed in genuinely Arabica coffee, the fine Belgian chocolate and local grown. Oh, it doesn't say. That's strange. It doesn't say if it contains caffeine or not. I thought they all had to say whether they contained caffeine.
Yeah, well, keep the bottle and we'll write to him and ask. I
think that's a very good idea. We'll do it. Bateman.co.uk. We will write and find out. It's well nice though, Ian. I've got to give it its due. Michelle thought it was going to be awful, and that's why she got it at me. Michelle, it's nice. Thank you.
I'm going to laugh so hard if the one you have next week is horrible.
Yeah. Well, what are you drinking, young man?
I'm actually back on the Prime as we try and get this sponsorship deal finalised, which would be a lot easier if they'd write back to us.
It would be much easier if they conversed with us in any way, shape, or form.
But
I think the ignoring us is a sign that they can't afford to sponsor us.
Absolutely. We probably sent them the wrong deck, didn't we? We have the actual advertising deck, and we have the one that you send if you need to do a tax write-off.
Yeah, I sent them that one for the tax write-off. Isn't it weird? Do you get emails that you just randomly ignore? At the minute, because UKOCR has gone with the website, we've gone live again with the website, and it's attracting a fair few clicks and people looking at it and things like that. I'm now back to getting the emails again. We are SEO, search engine optimization company. We can guarantee you 5 top listing in Google and 5,000 reviews in 1 week. Plus, we can get you 10,000 Instagram followers, all for a priceless sum of 35,000 strange and weird and wonderful foreign currency or whatever it is.
Yeah, those emails are annoying, and we get them, as you know, on the Instagram as well. The amount of times we get offered fake followers. My favorite ones are the ones that say, absolutely love your podcast. So I write back and ask them what the favorite episode is.
And I bet they all come the last one. The last one.
Never fails. Never fails. They never get back to us. Either that or I write to them and say, that sounds great. What can you do with our marketing budget of £0?
Yeah. What can you do with a marketing budget of £0? As Ian, we actually hired someone at the weekend as well.
Did we?
Yeah.
How much did I drink of non-alcoholic beer?
You wrote up the contract. The contract was written on a napkin on Saturday afternoon. You put someone in charge of organising the UKOCR Awards.
Okay. To be fair, napkin is probably the most formal contract we've ever had in this show.
I think it probably is. And I think you did actually put remuneration package of 0 with 1 day's holiday.
Yeah, that's fine, providing they take it on the 25th December.
Yes. Good thinking, Ian. Good thinking. It's all signed, sealed, and delivered. Shall we get into a bit of news? Because we last week we had a few questions we put out there, and we've got a few answers to them.
We did, or should I actually tell the listeners what I'm drinking other than Prime?
Oh, go on. Sorry, my fault, Ian. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead of my game, aren't I? Yeah.
The Prime is actually strawberry.
Oh, wow. What was the one you brought at the weekend for me to drink?
I think the one that you've ended up with, because I just left stuff. You find this with parties, don't you? You end up with more drinks than you actually started with because everyone brings stuff, drinks yours, and leaves theirs.
Yeah. Rob let me down, though, because he took his bottle of Kraken back with him.
Rob, that's not the way to behave at a party, but yeah, I think I left you with some lemonade flavored ones, which are quite nice. The one that B had was Meta Moon, which is candy floss. I don't think you've had that one. I'll have to send you one.
No, anti-candy floss. There's a place near me. You know what I've told you this place called Ward's Cash and Carry? They're now doing Prime, 3 cases, so 3 cases of 12, £9.99.
That doesn't surprise me. That really, really doesn't surprise me. Speaking of your party, by the way, are we going to go back to the barbecue, or is this going to be all our discussion on it?
No, go on. You can go back to the barbecue if you want for a moment.
Those who sadly couldn't figure out your address missed an absolute treat of meeting Mama Duck. Muddy Duck's mum is a legend who needs her own YouTube series.
I've got to come on. Tell me why she needs her own YouTube series.
Listener, if you know what a typical Northern mother is, so for those of you who don't know, in the North, families tend to be led by a strong woman. They are matriarchies, aren't they?
They are. My mum is, yeah. My mum is.
And your mum is very much a matriarch. She is hilarious. She's quick-witted, and you would never, ever cross her.
I remember when we got there, because she's quite small, and I introduced her to everyone, and someone just piped up and went, "How did you have someone so tall?" Because I think she's only like 4'6", 4'7", and I'm 6'1". How did you get someone so tall? And she went, "It wasn't this size when it came out." And it just had everyone in hysterics from the moment she got there. And yeah, I think that set the tone for her.
She is a wonderful person. And listener, if you ever get the chance, then try and meet Mama Duck sometime, because she is a cracking person. So yeah, and that wasn't a joke in terms of, but yeah, she was the life and soul of that barbecue.
She was. And I didn't know this, but it's the first time she's driven in 6 months, because she was going to come through and I had to pick her up. She went, I'll drive. First time she's driven in 6 months. So she's had a car just parked on a drive for 6 months. Yeah, legend she is. She's a legend, Mum Oliver.
She is. And of course, Harley was there too with his new toy of his new car. This car we're talking about, I want to say last week or week before, does exist, listener. And it's definitely worth every penny Alan's paying for the insurance for.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Right, what did Kieran tell us about beer? Let's go beer.
Let's go beer. So, we asked the question last week of what was the difference between, I want to say, a dark ale and a stout.
Yeah, that was it. That was the question.
And Kieran McAvoy came back and said he thinks the difference is that a stout is brewed with more roasted malts to give a darker colour, and a dark ale is more hoppy. That makes sense.
All right. So that's why this might be a stout then, what I'm drinking, because it says locally grown roasted barley malt. And this is very, very dark. It's almost black.
Yeah, you're probably drinking a stout then. And a coffee stout is quite a common dark beer as well. So yeah, it looks good as well. And from what I understand, it tastes good. And stouts are great. Jen loves stouts because you can do so much with them.
How do you mean you can just, I don't get what you can do so much with them.
As in, you can add flavors to them a lot easier than you can with other beer.
Oh,
So
right,
a
yeah.
non-hoppy beer, because the hops, I'm trying to pretend like I'm a beer expert here. I have no clue, but because of the hops, it's a little bit harder to get them to taste of something else. Whereas with your stouts, you can have all kinds of, like, say, you get your coffee stouts, you get your toffee stouts. What was the one you had, the Big Drop Brewing one?
That was a milk stout, a white milk
Milk,
stout.
yeah, milk stout as well. So you can do lots and lots with stout, which is why we're quite popular. Of course, you do have the sours as well, which tend to have a different taste, but sometimes you can really mess up with your sours.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of sours. As you know, I had some alcohol-free ones at the weekend, and they're all right, but I have to put lemonade in them. They're not. They're not. I'm not a soury fan. I know Jen was.
Yeah, except Jen didn't like that one. She didn't, not just because it didn't have any alcohol in, she just didn't like the taste of that. I quite liked it, to be fair. And Alan, I've got a confession to make, and this is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
On Sunday, I felt like I had a hangover and I hadn't drunk a drop.
Is that the milk? Because that's a lactose in it, isn't it? I mean, we've talked about this, I think, before. It's a lactose in non-alcohol beer that gives you a bit of an hangover.
I think you might be right. Some of the chemical elements, including the lactose, and I made, the classic mistake of I was mixing them. I had an Elvis juice, I had a sour, I had a hoppy, alcohol-free. They always tell us you shouldn't mix your drinks, and evidently you shouldn't mix your non-alcoholic drinks, particularly if you drink Prime as well. It must have been that Prime. That would have been what did it.
That's what I did at the Prime. I'm thinking here, if you left me Lemonade Prime, I could mix Lemonade Prime with non-alcoholic beer. I would get the taste of the beer and I would get a buzz from the Prime.
Oh, 2 weeks from now, you should do that.
2 weeks from now, live on air, that's what we're going to do. Only if Prime sponsor us, though.
Only if Prime sponsor us. So if you're out there, Prime, then you know how to reach me. I left my phone page at call.
Yeah. And we got a message from Sophia.
We did. I can't remember if this was last week or the week before, but we were talking about age limits, how they're different in America compared to over here, particularly the driving one, in that you can drive at 16, and the drinking one, which is 21. And Sophia confirmed that, yeah, the main reason it stays that you can't drink until 21 is because kids can drive and it's cut down on drink driving. And given that you need to take a car to get to the local shop, that's not surprising.
Yeah. And they do drive quite early, don't they? I mean, actual cars quite early. Is it 15, 16, something like that? They're on the roads driving cars?
Yeah, our schools teach us how to swim, or at least we hope they teach us how to swim. American schools teach them driver's ed, so teach them how to drive.
And is it right from what I've seen on television over in the States? I don't know if you know this, Ian, but basically they take like a provisional test, which is like not like a test like we have, but it's more of like a learner test, and then they can drive on roads. That's what it looks like to me.
I'm not sure. Sophia, that's a question for you. Is that the one that you often see on TV shows where they're just crushing cones and that kind of thing?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, so they're not actually on roads; they're just driving around a car park, crushing cones or trying not to crush cones, and then see what happens.
I'm not sure. Sophia, you've been summoned again. So, as part of our ongoing series of finding more about United States, please let us know, and we'll let the listener know as soon as you get back to us. I think Sophia is in a little bit of a news behind at the moment because she messaged me the other day about how I'd said I didn't like watermelon. And you might remember, I think that was back in May. I mentioned I was drinking a watermelon drink, and yeah, she'd only just got to that episode. And yeah, it's funny because it reminds you that people could listen to this at any point in the future, but it doesn't half confuse you when you just get a random message sometimes.
Yeah, and I get that all the time. Somebody random sending me something. I'm thinking, did I really? What that? I can't remember. And I'll pick up on the strangest things that we talk about, which I think is great.
They do, and I love them for it. And part of the joy in my life now, particularly on a Friday, is going into that podcast pub Facebook group, that exclusive for patrons and for those we let in because they've helped us out, so they've earned the place, and just seeing what they picked up on and what topic was the most interesting to them this particular week. So yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna let carry on organically, but yeah, let's see what they pick up from this episode. So should we get into the nuts and bolts of our notes?
Let's go into nuts and bolts of our notes. And first thing I want to talk about, Ian, is you put this note on, okay, but I'd also seen something today, and I didn't know if I was going to fetch it up because it wasn't really OCR or running related. But you talked about drones in the park room.
I did, yeah. Apparently drones have been banned.
Being very banned. So unless it's an official partner, they're not going to allow anyone to film or share any drone footage or images of park run events. I didn't think it was a big thing with drones at park runs.
I didn't think either, but as drones have got more inexpensive, everyone seems to have drone footage now, but they seem to do a lot of it. Like this past weekend was the Hyrox World Championships, and on someone's Instagram story was drone footage of them in their Airbnb.
Oh, wow.
Which is just bizarre to me. Like, yeah, I hope they were aware of it was being recorded time. It was, very young people, and it was directly over the swimming pool. So I hope they were aware of this. But yeah, it just seems that drone footage is, I don't know, almost become the norm now.
And I think drones have become very popular because I know I've got a drone. I don't use it very often, but I can literally send it up in the air and then click a button so it follows me and I can run and it actually just follows the controller I've got in my hand and films at the same time. So I'm guessing in park runs they can do it. But what I've seen, Ian, is the Germans are preparing for drones at the Euro Championships. So the football Euro Championships, and they've got a new gadget to take them down. So we have seen the past. I don't know if you've seen how they take drones down around airports. They usually shoot a bit of a cannon that's got a net on it. I won't say cargo net, but it's got a net on it and it captures it and makes it crash to the floor and smashes the drones. However, there's been people who've had these drones and they've been suing these airports. So the Germans and that have actually devised it looks like a huge cannon. Like one of these SAM missile launchers that the army carry on the shoulders. It looks like one of them in the video I've seen. And I thought they're going to try and blow it out of the sky, which would have been absolutely hilarious to blow the drone out of the sky. But no, it jams all radio frequencies. So anyone who's going to be flying a drone at the Euro Championships are going to get this out and they can actually make it land safely on the floor just by pointing at it and lowering it down. So, yeah, no drones at park runs. No drones at the Euro Championships. So we're going to see soon at park runs, the RDs at park runs, one of these big SAM missile launcher drone stoppers to stop people fetching them down.
And while we're saying it, absolutely no drones near the farms which are up on the hills in my neck of the woods. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Farmers still think they're mosquitoes. Blow them out of the sky.
That's going to be fun, though. Maybe not for the drone owners, but I remember watching something about drones not long since that we were going to have parcels delivered by them, like every or whatever it is company, Royal Mail, were going to be delivering parcels by drones and things like that. Hasn't happened yet, has it?
It hasn't, but sorry, I'm giggling thinking of this. And every drone dropping it from 100 feet would still make it arrive in much better condition than if they'd put it in back in a van.
Yeah, you're quite right. It would actually. That is a very, very good point. That's a cracking point. That you've completely thrown me now because I've got a segue into my next segment. But that is like because I'm thinking, yeah, every time I get an every parcel, they just throw it over the wall into the back garden and like it just gets smashed and whatever.
I am convinced. I'm convinced that the every driver training video is the first 5 minutes of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yeah, you think they take him to a track and field event and like make him train shot put and discus for delivering parcels?
More than likely. What's funny is they changed the name but didn't change the staff. They tried to move away from being known as a horrible delivery company by changing the name, but they're still just as bad.
I wonder, if every year they actually have an every Olympic Games. So they have shot put with like a round parcel, and they have discus with something a bit flatter, and javelin with a tube and things like that. How far can you throw these?
The 100 meters comes up 10 meters short, though, because that's about as close as you get to your front door.
That's it, yeah. Oh, gosh. My segue. My segue was into the European OCR Championships that are happening this coming weekend. I'm proper blown now. Anyway, OCR EC this weekend, Ian. Who's Up was out Monday, and I've seen the team kit. Have you seen the team kit?
The team kit looks beautiful. It really does. Fair play to who's the manufacturer this time?
Oh, now you've got me. I want to say Akuma, but I'm not 100% certain. Shall we have a quick look on Boss's website and see if they've got it on there? Because that's where I've got it from. I also want to say the pictures they're using that British Obstacle Sports have used, it looks so professional. So I don't know if they've used a professional photographer or they've used some type of artwork, but whoever's done it, the picture they're using Share Around, which has got Jamie Game on and a few other athletes. I think Feddy's on there and that. It was really, really good.
I think it's actually Toros.
So Toros are sponsoring the kit?
Yeah, Taurus is Ninja and OCR gear, and it says in the corner of the picture AFL or FAFL, so maybe they're the manufacturer, or maybe they're another sponsor.
Oh yeah, AFL Global. I would have thought. I don't know. I didn't know Taurus made kit. So if they do, well, it's sponsored by Taurus and AFL. So
that's what we know. And do you not think it looks like it could be an Olympic kit?
Yes, and that's what I was saying. And the pictures they're using, the background and the things like that, it looks amazing. I love it. I think it's so the Jollies are on there, Feddy's on there, Stanzani, Smith. It looks a high quality picture. Well done to them guys.
No, absolutely. Well done to them, and I can't wait to see how all 80 athletes get on.
Oh, it's amazing. And to let you know, we've had a question as well. Will Claire be going live at OCREC? We have asked her, and she has said yes. So watch our Facebook group over the weekend. And Claire, when she's free, will be going live on there. So big thank you to Claire for doing that for us. It's great when she does it, and everyone loves it. People have, I've had lots of questions about her. Will she be going live and things like that? And so if she does go live and you're watching it, give us some kudos, people.
Yeah, and Alan, I think we should triple her pay.
We could triple her pay in if we actually paid her again.
What's 3 times 0?
Yeah. She does a great job for us, though, doesn't she?
She really does. And yeah, we are so lucky. I know we joke about the pay thing and that, but everyone knows that this thing is run on a shoestring, which actually makes it remarkable that it's been going so long, given it is on a shoestring. But we have been so fortunate to have so much assistance from the community. You mentioned at the start of the episode that someone stepped up to say they're going to help out with trying to set up the UKOCR Awards. We have such talented podcasters on this channel who all do it out of the goodness of their own heart. Well, I presume so, Alan, unless you're, I don't know, sending them Barnsley books while I'm not looking.
No, everyone does this because they love the sport. That's what I love about this community. I was speaking to someone the other day about the community, and I was saying it's a great community because everyone just pulls together to help and things like that. And like if we want to use someone's logo, I just reach out and say, hey, can I use your logo for this? Yeah, of course you can. Everyone's so accommodating, so happy, and we all support each other. We all support each other, don't we?
Absolutely. No, that's the key, isn't it? That you can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone.
Exactly. Talking about helping, British champs coming up as well later on this month, and a new obstacle there. Toros firefighters. Have you seen these?
I've not, but I am hoping for some hunky firefighters of both genders, like the old Spartan gladiators at the end. Is that what we're going to get?
No, we're not. So these they look like thin punch bags with ropes going through. It's the easy way through it. So like chimes, whatever you want to call them, but with ropes going through it, but they swing free on some type of rig. You're going to go from one side to another. What happened quite recently, I do believe it was Rude Rampage, said they were going to have them at their event. And now British OCR Championships is going to have them at their event. So on 29th, Spartan Midlands, you're going to get to see them there. So not long to go. We're going to have back-to-back racing very, very soon. And if you want to go to it as well, Ian, Champs 25 will get you 25% off any open wave heat.
Oh, wow. So the world's put in from way.
Yes.
Sorry, British champs, not for world champs.
Yeah, British champs, sorry. British OCR champs. 29th at Spartan Midlands. Beaver Castle?
I believe it is Beaver Castle because they refuse to call it Belvoir.
Yeah, because it should be Belvoir and it should not Beaver.
No, but they don't like the French.
No, they don't.
I think Will's from that neck of the woods, not a million miles away. We're going to have to ask him what they have against the French.
Yeah, I think he's from the Newark area. Isn't it Newark, Retford area originally?
It's all one big south-based place. He's there, I think, or he was there at some point in his life. Speaking of Beaver Castle, that brings up the fact that it is kind of the home to Tough Mudder because it was the home of Europe's toughest mudder, and Tough Mudder is back this weekend in Scotland, Alan.
Oh, up in Bonnie, Scotland. Up in Bonnie, Scotland. I love it.
Yeah, it's a one-day event, which honestly makes a lot of sense because even when Tough Mudder was big, day 2 on Scotland, favoured a stand-up night with me and you, Alan. Empty. Yeah. Absolutely no one in there.
Yeah, I know. But it's coming back. I mean, they had a bit of bad press, didn't they? Was it a few years ago when the council cancelled it at last minute or something like that? It had a bit of bad press. But Tough Mudder have got a massive following in Scotland. It's huge up there. And I can see it getting a lot of people. I'm not sure that Spartan will make it up there because it doesn't have that many racers. It is more of the people who want to take it on for the challenge, and the people who are going to race end up going now to Tartan Warrior because that is the race. That is the one where OCR racers want to go to.
It is, but Tough Mudder is important because the racers will often come up having done a Tough Mudder.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important that Tough Mudder stays there. And if it takes them only doing one day a year to keep them in Scotland, then that's a great idea. Like I said, I think my first ever experience of Scotland, I want to say it was probably 2017. I went and did the Scottish one, went and camped up there, got eaten alive by midges. And I raced on the Saturday and then volunteered start line on the Sunday. We were packing up at 11.
I wonder, when you said packing up at 11 in Scotland, that doesn't make sense because, like, Scotland doesn't close until 3 in the morning.
No, that's true. But I was packing away the start line because the Sunday only had about 1,500 races, which, to be fair, now would be remarkable for a lot of races, although Tough Mudder that would still be a down day. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
the Sunday has never really done well. So why should Tough Mudder waste the money and the staff having an extra day, put on one fantastic day and keep the flame of OCR alive in Scotland? And while you're out there, why not host part of the UK Endurance Series, which is what they're doing?
Exactly. And the big thing here, the two leaders at the moment, Dassos and Russell, are probably over in Europe. Well, I know they're over in Europe. So they're over in Europe. So, Kevin, if you're listening to this, if you are going, you could be leading the UK Endurance League after race 2.
Oh, that's true. Who else did Farmyard Jam who might be in Scotland?
So, Gareth Oakley, he might be there. Gary Ewing, definitely from Scotland, he could be there. And then we've got Colin and Jane Campbell, again, both in Scotland. So both of them two could be there. Other than that, unless it's Squadron 303, I don't really see a lot of the other athletes going. Dan Weston, will he be there? Not sure. Yeah, but like I say, unless it's Squadron 303 are going to be there, but I would have thought they would be over at the Euros as well, representing Poland.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. But I guess that also opens the door up for people who are doing their first series race to maybe overtake some of the people who've been doing Farmyard Jam who are now in Europe as well. So Martin Gemmell, if you're listening to this, now's your chance to get above Dassos.
Do they have to do a minimum distance, I think, in Infinity? Is it 40 kilometres they've got to do or something like that?
I'm not sure. Honestly, you'd think if we were better journalists, we'd have this answer all pre-prepared, but I don't know. I presume you can't just do a lap and then give up. I do presume that you do have to hit a certain distance because I know when it came to Farmyard Jam, you had to do that, didn't you?
Yes, I think it's the same there. I think you've got to get on Tough Mudder's leaderboard, if it remembers rightly, you've got to do a 10-mile lap and the 5-mile lap. So you've got to 15 miles at least to get on Tough Mudder leaderboard. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the same. So you've got to do at least 15 miles.
Now, that would make a lot of sense. So best of luck to anyone taking part this weekend and everyone who's heading to Scotland. Go have fun. It is one of the best venues that Tough Mudder do. You get to see a castle, or at least you used to be able to see a castle. I'm not sure, it might have been knocked down in the intervening period. But talking about endurance things, here's a name who's a blast from the past, Natasha Mansell.
Is that Nigel Mansell's sister?
No, it's Natasha Mudstacle Machine.
Yes, I know it is. What has she been up to?
She won the Reading Indoor 24 this past weekend.
Oh, wow. Wow. How far did she get?
23 laps.
Now, if I remember rightly, in that 5-mile laps, I'm sure it's 5-mile laps, so she would have got 120 miles, 125
Something
miles?
like that. Yeah, 115, I reckon.
115, yeah.
And she won the first place solo female. She won by a good 3 laps.
Wow. That's pretty cool, that.
Yeah.
Now, what she needs to do now is sign up for the farmyard and see if she can go one better and go to 48 hours.
Absolutely, yeah. We need to get in touch with her and invite her. Does she get a good for age category qualification?
I'm sure we could give her a good for age category qualification. So, which reminds me,
yeah.
I'm going to quick plug to the farmyard because we've opened it up for teams this week. So anyone who knows, teams have now opened up for this week. So you can actually get a 4-man team for 125 quid for all 4 of them to run. So it works out just over £30 a person. And then they can do relays and, maybe go the full 48 hours. 4-man team can go the full 48 hours.
Is there any minimum distance for each individual runner?
No, as long as they all do a minimum of 1 lap.
Okay, listener, you're probably already ahead of me, but just in case you're not, if there is a team of 3 who fancies doing, let me work this out, roughly 16 hours a piece, get in touch.
And you're going to make up the little. So you want 3 people. You want 2's going to 16 hours and 1 who's going to 15, and then you'll do the other one.
Sounds like a plan.
Cracking idea, cracking idea. We had a couple of races this weekend. Summer Wolf Run.
It looked a lot of fun from what I understand of people there. I didn't clock who won it, Alan, so I'm going to say no one won it and you're still undefeated.
Thank you. Bit of a mixed mash of distances though, because I have seen that some people said the 10K came in at 9.3, and then I've seen someone else say it came in at 11.8. So I don't know.
So some people did the Muddy Duck run, and some other people got lost.
Got lost. And I brought that up here because it leads us into a 5K race that happened last week where a lot of people went wrong.
Yeah, I think only 15 people officially finished this race, if I'm to understand it, because it's hard here, Alan, because it is serious, but it's also hilarious.
So this was the Aylsham 5K. 425 runners took part. Yeah, 5K, 3.1 mile. Yeah. However, just over the mile mark, I think 1.2 or the 2K, 1.2 miles, 2K mark, some teenagers decided to have a bit of fun.
They did. They basically decided to be inspired by the suffering race and change some of the markers. And what makes this kind of hilarious is it wasn't just a case of changing a single arrow. They changed multiple ones and made almost a whole new course.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, though, you're right, only 9 people, out of the 425 actually took the correct route. So if there's only 9 people finish, that must be the highest DNF of any road race I've ever heard.
I wonder if he got given a jar of jam.
Exactly, Ian. So, because the DNF is a jar of jam. We all know it's a jar of jam. So, this was astounding me when I read this. I mean, they didn't run too much further. They only ran about half a mile further, apparently. So, but the Tina, you're right. They moved errors. They sent people off track. I think it was great when I read on here, it says, the lead runners only realised they were going the wrong way when they were running headlong into traffic.
Yeah, that would scare you, wouldn't it? And that's a serious thing here, that it could have ended tragically. But on the other hand, the lead runners would usually be experienced runners used to running in heavy traffic anyway. So I'm sure they would have moved out the way. And like I say, it's one of them that you do have a grudging admiration for the youth. So I might get cancelled for that, but we have, Alan, the Tour de Manche goes past us, and it's great. Yeah, it means I can't drive that particular day, but it's great. But the bottom of my road is a T-junction, and it does have an arrow pointing which way. And the number of times I've been tempted to just do like a cartoon and flick it, so it points the other way, which would send them back towards Manchester. But I never would, because that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's not just the case of flicking it. These kids made a whole new course. And for that, I kind of take my hat off. Yes, would be mortified if anyone got hurt. But as pranks go, relatively harmless.
Yeah, relatively harmless. Relatively harmless. Another race that happened this weekend, though, High Rocks.
Yes, it was the High Rocks World Championships in Nice. I won't go too much into it because I spoke with our good friend Emma Waring and Ugly Dave on the Fitness Racing podcast, and we brought down the Elite 15 races and the relay, and it's an hour and a half podcast, so I don't want to go over too much. However, Alan, if you have any questions about it, as someone who knows of High Rocks but isn't so much in the space, then let me know and we can sort them out.
Well, my question is, because I've got one question, I'd like someone to come in and tell me about this. Hunter McIntyre was the favourite hands down for the men. Yeah. And, you know, everyone thought he was going to win. He was about 4 times champion now? Is he 4 times in a row champion he was?
3 or 4.
Like
It depends what you count.
yeah. He's hardly been
master, and he won the other one.
Yeah. So he's hardly been beaten. So people going into that race, they must have thought they were fighting for second place. Even though they're high quality athletes, but one person decided that he weren't going to fight for second place. He was going to fight for first in Michael Sambat, and he took the race to Hunter. And I don't want to spoil your podcast, Elsian, but it worked. It worked to a point. How hard is it, do you think, for someone like Michael mentally to actually go out and do that? Because if you've got someone who's so good at something, and you're always behind him, and you can be pretty far behind him. Sandy's been some distances behind him in the past. To actually then go out and say, right, I'm really going to do it. That must take a lot of mental grit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we probably should mention as well, it wasn't just Sandy. Alexander Ronkovic was also taking it to Hunter as well. So it wasn't just Sandy who decided, I'm going to try and beat this guy. But it was Sandy, it was Ronkovic. I think a few others maybe early on tried. I guess it might be come down to playing statistics because, again, this will slightly spoil the UKHXR, but not by too much. Someone pointed out Hunter has never won a race where he is not leading it coming out the sleds. So if he's not leading that race coming out the sleds, he doesn't win. So Sandy basically went for broke early on, thinking almost the Hunter way of, let's see if I can break Hunter's spirit.
Interesting. But anyway, if anyone wants to listen to it, it's a great podcast because it was one of them when I'm editing it and I actually listened to. Fantastic podcast. Nip over to the Fitness Racing podcast. It came out on Wednesday, so get over there, listen to it. It is a really, really good listen, and you'll find out about everything that happened, especially the Canadian flag bearer, which was a classic, and I'll leave it at that, Ian.
Right. Actually, since recording that episode, we talked in there about WADA testing, and I didn't know the answer because with so much going on, it was one of them things that just went to the back of my mind. And then when Emma brought it up, it was like, oh yeah, they were doing that as well. So I hadn't actually followed it up. But thanks to Dave, he has spoke to a couple of the athletes who have confirmed they were ones who were on the podium. They confirmed that they were tested right after the podium. So they were picked up after they finished. They had a testing person who didn't really leave their side, and they went and got tested.
Cool. So that's the drug testing thing.
It is. It's the drug testing thing. So well done to Hyrox for actually following through with. I was aware there was a room. We weren't aware how quote unquote serious they were taking it, but it sounds like they took it as serious as any other sport. So well done to Hyrox for that. Alan, Hyrox is now on a break. The season has ended, so that means that I won't have to do another podium on the UKHXR Instagram page for 3 weeks because the season is back on the 30th of June. Starts again in Melbourne.
That's going to be the shortest season ever.
Shortest off season. I know I'm making fun of it, but technically it is still a season for Europe. We don't start again till I want to say September, but it is hilarious because it's now global. They're doing it in the fall to spring of each particular country. So when it comes to Australia, they're into their autumn period now.
Awesome. And hopefully I'm going to be back in Manchester in January.
Fingers crossed we'll hopefully get you a ticket or find some way of getting you in. Of course, Alan, thinking about Hyrox Manchester always reminds me of that first time that me, you, Will, and Martin went there. And speaking of Will, he cheated on us all this past weekend. He went to Spartan Andorra, Alan.
Whoa. He was not even in this country.
He was not even in this country. Yeah. What was funny is he was there with the other two admins from the Solo Mudders, 2 out of the 3. So he was there with Joanne, he was there with Danny, he was also there with Jimmy. And while we're talking about the admins of the Solos, Mike Moussard was also not at home, which technically made me in charge, which is a scary thought.
And you weren't in charge because you were drinking non-alcoholic beer at the barbecue.
Yeah, and getting a hangover apparently. But I will say, Alan, we need to visit Andorra. It looks like a gorgeous place. You saw the pictures come up, and the Spartan race, it looked almost like a back to basics type. Like there was a nice stream that I saw, some great obstacles.
Sounds cool. I found out where Andorra is for the first time this week. I thought Andorra. So I've actually been to Andorra, yeah, which is quite funny, but I thought it was in between France, Germany, Poland, because it's a mountainous country. So I always thought it was over there, and it's not, is it? It's in between France and Spain.
Did you honestly get Switzerland and Andorra mixed up?
I must have, yeah. I thought it was in that area. I jumped on a plane and the plane flew one direction. And obviously, when I was younger, my whole mindset was different to what it is now.
It's interesting with Andorra because if you look at an old school map of it, you actually think that there's just been a problem with the printing of the border between France and Spain because there's that little hole. Yes. It's actually a whole country.
A very much an whole country. Let's move on because we've got a little bit of the news. Unless you want to was there anything else you wanted to talk about Andorra?
Just that it looked fabulous. They did invite us, to be fair, and unfortunately we couldn't because I was washing my hair and you were having a barbecue. But we did get an invite, and I'm so sorry I turned it down because it looked like they had a fabulous time. So, listener, if you're looking for a racecation, I'm sure the Solo Mudders would recommend Andorra sometime. But Alan, you mentioned a little bit of sad news.
A little bit of sad news. Little Welly, which is a amazing little event down south, has cancelled. So yeah, they're cancelled, and they're doing it right, Ian. As you all know, I love it when they do this. Refunds are on the way, folks.
I understand that refunds are on the way. Thanks to Matt Kirk for putting us in the loop on this. At first, it looked scary, didn't it? Because they kind of just completely disappeared from, well, the face of the earth. They closed down all their socials, but apparently refunds are being processed via the ticket master.
Yes. So everyone should get with them about. You don't get your administration fee back that you pay, but you get your rest of your money back. So you lose a couple of £. But yeah, by the sounds of it, they're giving everyone the money back. So absolutely great news they're doing that. Sad news that they're cancelled. Hope it's not gone forever. You can't say because, like we said, the social medias and that have gone a bit quiet and things like that. So let's see what happens, I guess.
Absolutely, Alan. And given the sad news, do you have any happy news for us?
I certainly do have a happy news for you, Ian. And I'm not going to tell it you because I'm going to bring someone in now to actually tell us that. Daryl from Body Hub. Greetings, my friend.
Hello, Alan. Hello, Ian. How you doing?
We're good, mate. We're good. Are you fresh from a boot camp training session that you told me you were doing tonight?
Yeah, it's our 4th one today. So, yeah, busy day today.
Things are going well. So, you broke some news on Monday along with our Who's Hot team. You kept it all quiet from me. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say you're joining the UKOCR series this year.
Yeah, yes, we are with our Beast event. Absolutely. And we're super excited about it. I'm super excited about it because if people remember, I went down and give it a test back in March, was it? When you invited me down with not a very pleasant day. It was raining, it was wet. God, it is a beast of a course. Off the cusp of the awards. Yeah, it was off the cusp of the awards as well. So you were fresh.
Very fresh. It's great to have you. First of all, it's great to have you in the series. You know, it's absolutely great. You know, it's a new race, something a bit different. The shortest race in the series, but I mean, you've got plans, haven't you?
Yeah. So obviously at the start of the year, our beast event was a time trial. This is obviously a race. So straight away, it's a bit different. The lap, so to speak, is much longer. So we're going to be taking everyone outside of Body Hub. So our course is about 600 meters. So our lap now is going to be a 3K. So significantly longer lap. And people will really get the chance to stretch their legs. So as you recall, Alan, the course setup is quite intense with obstacles when you're in here. So it's going to be a nice mix of both, albeit intense. So a nice, great stretch to the legs. There'll be a few little things along the way during that run, nothing too taxing. And then obviously when you come into the obstacle element, it'll be quite intense with regards to that. Plus, we're already well underway of changing probably about 40% of the obstacles that you would have seen when you were here. So there's going to be a lot of new things for the race. So yeah, I'm super excited. There's a lot of work going in, obviously, to the course and just organizational side of things for the event anyway. But yeah, it's going to be epic. It's going to be absolutely epic.
I'm liking it. When I was down there, you had an amazing mixture of obstacles. There was technical, there was muscle up obstacles, ones that needed a bit of strength rather than technique. Then you had the ones that had technique and things like that. And then there was the ones that were a little bit, I want to call them old school, like, your tire run when you went down the hill and back up the other side. We normally see a little tire run and it's just quite easy.
Yeah.
That was a bit different going down a hill and the other side and things like that. You say you're changing 40%.
Yeah.
Are you going, and this is a genuine question for things, are you going more technical or are you still going to try and keep that balance?
We're going to try and keep that balance. Some things are just moving positions. We're not getting rid of everything. We're moving positions. There's going to be, if you recall, Alan, sort of in the middle of the center, there was two sort of lanes that had rigs in them.
Yeah.
And what I've done is I've connected all those rigs. Well, I've connected the rigs together, so we have their, give or take, they're about 80 feet long each rig. So from a technical point of view, that's going to be quite intense. It'd be quite fun as well. But we then still have the moguls. We still have that initial, what we call the tire pit, where you run down the tires and up again. We've got like a tire mangle. So there'll be, walls. So there'll be, as you put it, old school kind of obstacles that are just fun to clamber over and through. And yes, there'll be a little bit more in the technical, with a few other things along the way. I don't want to give too much away.
No.
But there's a lot of changes. And one of the for those people that have been to the centre, you'll appreciate this. The lanes are kind of wide to accommodate a race anyway. But I'm doubling up the lanes. So rather than, again, if you remember, you kind of come to a rig and there was one lane of one element and another lane of the other element side by side. Now it'll be 2 lanes of pretty much every obstacle. So that'll help bottlenecking or prevent bottlenecking on race day as well. But just generally speaking here, for people to come down and train and perhaps race each other, it'll give people that opportunity as well.
Cool, like that. Are we going to run a ban system or a penalty system? Do you know what system you're going to run yet for that?
Yeah, so I've been speaking with James about this. I think we're going to go banded for the UKOCR. So it's going to be a race weekend. So on the Saturday, 31st of August, it's going to be a fun run. So for families and so on and so forth to come along and sort of give everything a go. It'll be a 6K course, because I'm always keen to get new people into the sport, and I like to be able to welcome that. And the uptake for that has been pretty good so far. On the same day, we've got Beast Ultra, which is a 6-hour race. So those people that like to test their endurance a little bit more, that'll be a banded system as well. So those 2 races will be running on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, we're going to obviously have the UKOCR series race. And that'll be banded. And then we're going to have an age category race as well, going off in different waves, because we want to obviously accommodate the young ones as well, moving up the age ranks too. So I try to accommodate everything for everyone. So it's promising to be a good weekend of racing. There'll be a few little bells and whistles added in to kind of help build the atmosphere. We also are going to have limited, but we'll have certainly an option for people that want to travel a little bit further to camp overnight. So again, they can make a bit of a weekend, because I appreciate those coming from the north. If they want to do it, it's a long travel down for one day. So, they could travel down on the Friday, race on the Saturday, stay over, even race on the Sunday if they wish, or come down just Saturday, stay overnight on Saturday night. So we're trying to accommodate those people coming from further afield.
I love it. Ian, have you got any questions?
I do. It's one's for you, Alan. Are you tempted?
Ian, I am 100% tempted. However, it's the same weekend that I take on Sea to Summit.
Oh, that could be difficult for you doing both. I think you've got it in you, but it could be difficult. Daryl, I do have a question. You mentioned how obviously it's going to be obstacle dense.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to plan in terms of the waves to keep people moving through it? I know that you're going to have a massive run initially, but how are you going to avoid bottlenecks?
So obviously, as I mentioned, we're going to double up the lanes to accommodate that. We will be sending people off in waves. So try to space that out. So there'll be smaller waves than you'd maybe see at obviously the bigger events. But it'll certainly have a race feel to it with the number of people in your wave. And therefore, it shouldn't cause any issues. But like Tartan Warrior, obviously, when I heard Gavin's interview at the start of the year, and he was mentioning, obviously, for their event, he said, guys, don't forget we are a training centre. And if you approach an obstacle and you're kind of almost side by side, you've got to tactically think as a racer, am I going to push through and get to that obstacle before the person beside me? Or do I pull back and use that opportunity as a bit of a rest so that I can then get right on their heels and then shoot off after them? So when he said that, I thought to myself, do you know what? Our centre, the lanes are wide enough. They're about 6 meters wide. If I double up each obstacle, so accommodating 2 lanes of each obstacle, there's no reason why we couldn't host a race as opposed to what we've previously done, just time trials. So with doubling up the obstacles, 2 lanes, and obviously sending people off in waves, I think we should be grand, Ian.
No, that makes sense. And you're obviously going to have a massive advantage of Tartan Warrior in that UKOCR series has been going for a while. You'll be able to seed the racers based on the current standing. Yeah,
so that's the idea, certainly for the UKOCR series race. It'll be seeded. And yeah, that obviously is an advantage in terms of preventing bottlenecks and so on and so forth. So, at the end of the day, I guess it comes down to if you run faster, make sure you get to that obstacle first. But definitely seeding them in waves is going to be an advantage to preventing bottlenecking. And the way I've set up the lap, it's the vast amount of the running is sort of towards the beginning of the lap. So you can certainly pull away and start to create a bit of space between the racers before they really hit the main bulk of the obstacles. That was a tactical thought as well, rather than because I had the option: do I put people through the obstacles first and then do a sort of a long run, or the other way? And it makes more sense to put the longer run at the start to kind of spread the pack. So yeah.
Alan, you know what this reminds me of on probably a smaller scale?
Go on.
Tough Guy?
Yes. Yeah, as in you ran and then you get to the killing fields. I get that. I get that what you're saying. For me, Ian, this could be one of, no, I'm not going to say one of, this will be the best spectator race out there, because I've been down there. Yeah. The obstacles, you can see them quite clearly, from wherever you stand on the course. So if you are a spectator and you want to see a proper race, this is the place to go. And I mean that. Are you going to have anything special for spectators at all, Daryl? I'm thinking, this is just me off the top of my cuff, we haven't rehearsed this at all, like special lanes where they can go down, maybe stand at the side of the rig and watch, or things like that.
Yeah, that's already built into the plan. So again, you've mentioned you've been here, so you kind of have a sense of the place. Yeah, so definitely along the rigged areas, there's already spaces there that people can stand and get very close to the racers, particularly sort of the low rig. Well, it's now sort of a high to mid to low rig. It's 80 feet long, so you'll be able to, from a spectator point of view, you'll be able to be very close on that particular lane. But yeah, we'll be making sort of pockets, if you will, access for spectators, because that's equally important. You know, we want the racers' friends and families to come along to see them race, to celebrate with them, and so we will definitely be making provisions for that.
I love it. All along here, and I've said to you, we need to get this into spectators. You know, I've said this so many times all the way through these. This could be the race to get it, because there's been no other than Urban Attack when they went to the BMX track that's got something like this, where you can actually see a race from start to finish. Forget about the run, you know, because no one wants to just watch people running unless we can go to Olympics and do that. But to do the obstacles, this is going to be the race, Ian.
No, absolutely. And Daryl, what's the phone signal like there? Can you get 4G?
I'm actually in my office at the minute, so that's where the signal drops a little bit in a steel container. But yeah, the signal's fairly good. So obviously, I think I know where you're going with this for live coverage. That's something as well that we want to be able to provide as well, because obviously we've got a lot of followers, international followers as well. So does UKOCR and British Obstacle Sports, and indeed those people racing, and I'm sure they'd all like to see what's happening here. So yeah, we're looking, or I'm looking to obviously get somebody to head that up for me, so that we can provide as much live coverage as we can on race day.
Alan, do you remember earlier in the show?
We do, yeah. And Claire, if you're listening,
we'll quadruple your pay.
We'll quadruple your pay. And Wendy, if you're listening as well, because you're doing some live feed as well, we'll quadruple yours as well, Wendy.
So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Really looking forward to that, and I'm hoping we'll have a drone in the air as well. How we can get that connected, obviously, to the live feed, I'm not sure, but we'll see what we can do.
Daryl, can I just check, how close to a park run is your race?
How close to a park run?
Yes.
Probably 10 minutes away.
Okay, just be careful flying the drone when the park run's going on. It might be shot out of the air based on what we've heard this week. Yeah, Alan?
Yeah, so you need to go, when this comes out, Daniel, you need to go back and listen to an early part of the show, because you've come in a little bit after we've talked about drones earlier, which is park run and that. So you'll get it later.
That's all right. That's all right. We're well enough away from that, but I look forward to that. I look forward to that.
Daryl, it's a pleasure having you on and that, and I know you're a patron as well, so thank you for coming on. But how can people sign up to this as well? So how can people sign up?
So we have been taking sign-ups sort of just manually at the minute. We had a few, I'll not bore you with the details, but we had a few issues towards the back end of last week with regards to the event, but they're all sorted. So as of tonight, everything should be up and live for ticket sales, for people booking into waves for the whole weekend. And we'll be blasting that out across our social media on Facebook, on Instagram, but it'll be via our website where people will ultimately be able to book tickets. So I'll obviously send you guys the link directly, but if everyone just sort of checks out My Body Hub on Facebook or My Body Hub on Instagram, or you can pop over, keep an eye on our website address, which is bodyhub.online. You'll be able to get booked in. So basically, if you say as of tomorrow, you'll be able to book in.
Fantastic, Daryl. Thank you very much. Ian, do we have anything else, or can we release Daryl?
We can indeed release Daryl, and I think we've nothing more on our notes, Alan. So should we just wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, I'm going to say it's a goodbye from me,
Daryl.
And it's a goodbye from me.
And listeners, once again, thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure bringing you this episode. Remember, send us some questions in if you've got any. In the meantime, you stay safe, keep on running. And if you're at the Euros, Do us proud, people. Bye.